Hello, Instagram and Facebook family. Popped in just a little bit earlier because I want to give you an opportunity to say, oh, wow, Lady L with business strategies and tips is on. Let me reach out to a couple of friends. Let me pass a tag or a message out to some other business owners that you may know, potential business owners that you may know, so that they won't miss this session. We are going to be working on the last installment of talking about tax exempt organizations, aka 501s, uh, aka nonprofits. Y'all know I don't like that term. Those that have been following me, y'all know I don't like that term. But it's a familiar term that everybody's familiar with. They know what you're talking about when you mention those things. So, today, our question is, how do I begin to raise money for my tax exempt or 501 organization? Those that have been listening and watching my shows, that is on my YouTube channel, Lady Verne, that's LadyVerne, and please feel free to go and review any of the previous recordings, especially on this series of working with tax exempt organizations, 501s, that you've got to have a plan for every phase, for every step, for every process that you're going through. You need to have a structure in place. You need to have a plan in place. When you are setting up a fundraising plan, you're basically taking your year, your fiscal year, and you're saying, what fundraising activities are we going to do this year? One thing that you must do is set two major events that you do every year. You might change the theme, you might change the reason or purpose, but you don't want to change when you do it. Whether it's one in the first quarter, one in the third quarter, one in the second quarter, one in the fourth quarter. You sit down and decide as a board in your inner circle, I will say, decide when are you going to have these two major annual events. And when I say major annual events, I'm talking about high ticketed events. And we're going to go over some dollar amounts or some estimates or just some ideas, some ballpark ideas to help you decide when you should have these events. You want to also consider centering your events that if you have something seasonal going on, depending on your organization's activities, you want to make sure you capitalize on those seasonal times to establish those core major events, those two major events that you're going to have a year. If you're just starting out, brand spanking new starting out, you must have at least one right from the gate. You got to jump out the gate. When you're at a, like, the Kentucky Derby is coming up pretty soon. Those jockeys and horses, they've been groomed, they've been connecting, they've been practicing with one another, and they're at that gate and they're ready to come out. You've laid your business plan, you've laid out your vision, mission, and purpose, you've done all the preliminary things that we talked about this entire month, and now you're ready to get into that starting gate and start letting people know what you're doing. But you need to have a fundraising plan already in place. You want to secure dates, you want to secure locations. These are some of those upfront things that you want to do. You don't ever, ever, ever want to reach back and begin to bring forward something that you could have planned from the very beginning. So, as you put together those two major events a year, take certain things into consideration to make sure that it flows with your day to day operations. Be creative, be imaginative, be unique. Solve a problem with your fundraising activities and the services that you need to provide. I can't stress that enough. You've got to be creative when it comes to fundraising. You have to have catchy slogans. You have to have eye-popping advertisement and media that catches the person's eye, that will catch that donor's eye, that would catch that person's eye, that will want to contribute to your cause. Make your cause plain and clear. The proceeds are going to this project. The proceeds are going to this particular project or that particular project, because people like to know where is their money going. They don't have a problem with really giving. The problem they have is they want to know where it's going. Who is it helping? So you want to make sure that those two major events is supporting the core of what your mission, vision, and purpose is to accomplish for that year. And just that. Don't, have, major fundraisers for operational costs. Those are the little things that you sit down and you have the rest of that fundraising plan going on. You may have small items of events, what I call pocket events or pop-up events that will help in the building up for your operational. That's where with some of your grant and your philanthropic giving, those kinds of things. When you're putting up that financial plan, those are some things to consider. Your timelines, you must establish them and create that annual momentum. You want to give people something to look forward to, especially when you've gone all out, you've done the first one. Oh boy, this will be great if you guys do this again. And knowing that it's coming up, oh man, they'll look forward to it. Oh yeah, don't you know that so and so's organization is doing that outing again or that function again? And that's what will draw referrals. That will draw them to bring guests, and it begins to build. You want to establish an annual momentum. Now, after maximizing and impacting those two fundraisers, also in your planning process, you want to see how I can really put this. When it is grant money that you're actually releasing versus what you applied. My grandmother had a saying, don't count nothing that's not in your hand. If it's not in your hand, it doesn't belong to you. So when you know that you have a definite grant, you have a due date, that when you can expect those funds to come into your organization, you have the signed written agreements of when this is going to happen, then you can begin to chart your timeline of when you can expect that money for that particular year. And when you get that funding and you've designated it, you're doing what you told them you were going to use it for, okay? Because you have to prove that that's what you spent that grant money on. So make sure that when it comes to various grants, when it comes to any philanthropic giving, when it comes to any donations, you may run a program or a series where you have annual events specifically for a certain thing. Like, for instance, when you hear radio stations, or when organizations like St. Jude, they have an annual fundraising drive. So depending on what your services are, you may want to have fundraising drives. You may want to, but you have to plan strategically what time of the year, what quarter of the year are you going to do these fundraising entities, so that you can make sure that you're flowing your financial plan, or aka your budget, to making sure that you're making ends meet, that you're not overcosting yourself, you're not overextending yourself, to make sure that you can balance out throughout the year with your fundraising plan. Well, we know this quarter we're running this program, so we need X number of dollars. This quarter we're running this particular program, we need that particular dollars, so that you know also how to strategically put in your major events so that it's covering a quarter. If when you sit down and organize those two major events, minimum you want, whatever your operating budget is, whatever your program financial plan or budgets are, you want to make sure those major events can cover a minimum of a quarter. A good fundraising event, of a major fundraising event, will hold you to maybe the first 6 months of the year, but minimum, it needs to cover the first quarter or a quarter of your operations. This way, you're not, causing yourself undue stress because the fundraiser wasn't enough. You have a goal. If you have to do many fundraisers to meet that massive goal, then map out how to do that so that you are meeting that goal. That goal is non negotiable. If you're looking for your operating costs to cover for a quarter, then that goal is non negotiable. You have to do the in between fundraisings and drives and solicitations so that you're meeting that quarterly goal. Deadlines. You must know up front when to prepare to meet them. Deadlines in your reporting, deadlines in your record keeping, deadlines in making sure that whatever expenses for your events are being met. So make sure that you're meeting your deadlines, and please don't do anything in the last minute. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody works 100% under pressure. You may be okay under pressure, but you're not 100% under pressure. And just because you work well under pressure does not mean everybody else that works with you works well under pressure. So you need to take into consideration the demographics of the people who are serving alongside of you. If you have that organized person, don't give them nothing the last minute. Not to say that they won't get it done, but you're not expending their gifts and their talents at its maximum peak by putting them in an undue situation that where that excited, that high eye, that rah-rah person will keep the morale going, but that supportive person, that constructive person that likes order and does things decent and in order, you have to give them that time frame that they need to get accomplished what needs to be done to make that event successful. So this is why planning, especially in the last quarter of the year for the coming year, is the best time to sit down with your financial plan. And especially if you have people that are masters at fundraising, or you have a fundraising team that's their specialty, you need to give them that calendar up front for the year so that they sit down, they pull that together, and then they can come to the board and make their reports of how the fundraisers should flow and go. This way, everybody's working in a coordinated system. You're maximizing your resources of people to make sure that they're working at their maximum best. And by all means, you got to enjoy this journey. Don't be so stressed out. Oh my God, we got to fundraise this money. Oh my God, we got to bring this and we got to bring that in. That's why you have to be innovative and creative with what you're doing in your activities of fundraising so that everybody can enjoy the journey. When everybody's enjoying the journey, they give more. They're more productive. They're able to be creative in their ideas, in their suggestions and their recommendations. You want people's creativity to have that freedom and that liberty to grow and to flow. But if you're always behind a deadline, you're shooting your own self in the foot and you're setting yourself up for failure. Poor planning produces poor performance, aka my apostle in Jersey, Pastor Jason Alvarez. That was one of my favorite slogans that he would always share with us. Calculate what it's going to cost to run your program. Even before, matter of fact, this should have been the first step, not the last step. When you understand, because again, if you've done the vision, mission, and purpose, if you've done your business plan, if you've done all of the preliminary things we spoke of in the previous sessions this month, then you already know it's going to cost you X number of dollars to run this program per year, per quarter, per month, per week. And if you got to break it down per day, break it down per day. Work backwards. Annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly. So that you know exactly how much from a fundraising plan, what you need to be bringing in weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. When you know that up front, then when you go to make your fundraising plan, then you can intertwine what needs to be done, what the goals are for each event. And also, again, just because you are a tax exempt organization does not exempt you from having a profit. All businesses make a profit. It's just a tax exempt organization, your profits are rerouted differently than a for profit, but you still need to make a profit. So have a profit goal. After you've met all of your expenses of the events, after you've met all of the expenses of your programs and your operational costs, then what would you like to see in that bottom line as a result of your fundraising efforts, your grant finding efforts, your philanthropic efforts, your donation efforts? Please use social media to your advantage. Not a big fan of GoFundMe because unfortunately GoFundMe has been abused, but if you are giving legitimate information, meaning this is your organization, this is what we're fundraising for, this is our goal, will you help us meet our goal? We want to give X number of instruments to kids, and this is the cost of the instruments, or this is the cost to us to be able to provide what you're providing to the community. Be transparent and honest and forthright with people. Then they don't have a problem with GoFundMe. I've had a couple of organizations do extremely well with GoFundMe because they were legit in what they were doing. They were honest, they were transparent, they were forthright. They're able to go on the website before, during, and after your fundraising effort and see you are making an impact in your community. You've got to show people what you have done because as a tax exempt organization, as a 501 organization, you are accountable to the community. You report to the community. And when you report to them honest information, when you report to them your transparency, when they see the results of what your organization gives to the community you are serving, you will not have any major problems getting funding. Tap into those relationships that you've built over the years and let people know what you're doing. Hey, if you got to do boots on the grounds and do the palm cards and put information in people's hands, if you have to go to networking events, let people know what you are doing, what your causes are, what your services are. And always have the next event, save the date or however you advertise your event at your current event. Again, that's building that fundraising momentum. So if you had something in April and you got an event coming up in July, that flyer for July needs to be somewhere available to the people that are attending your April event. This way they have that anticipation, and if they had a great time at this April event, oh shucks, y'all doing another event? Okay, they'll put it on their calendar. You encourage them to share it on their social media. You encourage them to let people know that this is what you're doing, especially in their career industries and different people that you're connecting to, especially people that have some, well means. You want to get the word out. It's a constant evolving, a constant revolving of information to let people know what you are doing. When you set the time to make a good fundraising plan, a good grant funding plan, a good donation plan, when you plan these stages and phases out and you know exactly what you're doing, every month, every quarter, and every year, and you got your annual events in place, people have that anticipation that this organization is on the move. It's doing things. Recruiting is ongoing. As I've forestated in other sessions, people come and go. Don't get caught up in people that come and go. Everywhere you go, everywhere you network, you're always telling people what you're doing. You're always looking for people to come and help. Never stop recruiting. Always tell people we're looking for such and such, because even if you have people in those places, they need support too. If you have people in your media department, they may need some support. You may need some boots on the ground people to work alongside your media people. So you're always recruiting. Never stop recruiting. Everywhere you go, everywhere you network, we're looking for this volunteer to do that, or we're looking for this person. Is there someone you know, or are you interested yourself? So this way you always have movement. You want current to flow. Current brings currency. When you're constantly moving and you're moving forward, you will never have to worry about where funds are going to come from. And we all know, when you are a giver, you already know that it's already prepared for you and ready. That when you are a giver, as you sow seeds, being a blessing to others, and not only just through your organization, but as individuals, encourage your staff, encourage your board, that if they're not already givers, to just be givers. It's a principle that when you sow, you will reap a harvest. With that being said, thank you so much for joining me today on Business Strategies and Tips with Lady L. I am your host, Lady L. If you need to repeat listen to this, it will be on my YouTube channel, Lady Vern, Ladyverne. Please share this with someone you know that's in business, that's doing uh, some great work, and they may need some assistance. Again, be a giver. Share this information. This information is not to just be hoarded upon yourself. Find some other people in your circle and share this information with them. You know what? I've been listening to Lady L with business strategies and tips, and she's been really giving out some good information. You may want to check her out. Go to her YouTube channel and Lady Vern, and just look at the different series of programs that we've done so far, and let them pick and choose what they need to help them in their journey. Thank you so much. Have a great and wonderful day. See you this time tomorrow, 12 noon. Have a great day.